All right, we are live. Welcome to episode 513. Morelia Python Radio. Going to do this live. Everybody that's out there. This is the annual breeding season episode. When we're just talking about how we do this every year.
By request. You people
by
request this.
Sometimes things change. Sometimes we learn different things. Breed different new species that we didn't the year before. And just try to share what we learned from the previous breeding season. I think an important topic is whether you should breed and how much you should breed.
That I feel personally attacked by those two questions.
Well, no, I'm just saying, just based on the status of the world currently,
there is also, yeah, you are correct. You have to take that shit into account.
During COVID, people had,
people had
extra pocket money.
Exactly.
And, they were bored out of their minds on the computer, and it was
jumping at the bit for snakes. Yeah,
but will that affect sales in the next year? I mean, we're looking at what you won't even start to sell. Like, okay, let's look at carpet pythons. You wouldn't even start to really sell them until what? August, maybe September.
Yeah, you don't
July.
normally your
July,
first
August, September.
Yeah,
right.
Let's say your first couple clutches. Let's say you're one of those weirdos and your female drops in March, which is I've had a couple do that. Those babies are ready by May, which is normally when you're starting to get a lot of your other carpets to roll. May, June, July is usually your good spot for Morelia eggs. So the earliest clutch you get is March. Those babies are ready by May. Yeah. So that's the earliest you'll be able to sell animals from 2023.
That would be like the pop ones.
Right. Pop ones. You have
maybe jungles.
Right. You have a overzealous jungle. You have a coastal that didn't know it wasn't supposed to ovulate this early. Like, yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah. My problem is that you as you add species, you extend that breeding season, and it just keeps. So, like, May was it? March, April is when I'm getting like early python clutches, things like that. May, June, July is when it's just like hitting one after the other, plus also a scattering of colubrid clutches. And then you get into August and you're winding down on Morelia, but then you're also getting potential bredli and spring breeder clutches. And you're also getting any double clutch that you'll get out of, colubrids. So that'll happen.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that guy.
Bye.
I love doing that live. Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome. So yeah, I don't know. We'll get into that a bit. What the current state of the market is and all that kind of stuff. And I saw a couple videos where I guess again I'm kind of out of the loop in the ball python. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. The ball python world, and apparently there's like people saying that the market is crashing and all that stuff. But I don't know. We've heard that for years.
The sky is falling. Sky, like, come on. There have been. I love it how one of my first breedings of carpet pythons, I was asking if I could trade one of the flippers, some jaguars, for a gecko that a friend wanted. Mm-hmm. And he said through a can of squeeze cheese that he can't because Morelia is clearly a dead market. And this was in like 2000, must have been like 9, 10. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, here we are in 2022, and I'm still breeding and selling carpet pythons. It's so weird.
Yeah. In the US, I guess right now, it used to be, I think, maybe tied with Nick and Kerry and Todd. Mm-hmm. But they're not doing it anymore. So it's basically Nick is basically the biggest carpet breeder in the US.
Yeah.
Maybe even North America. Don Patterson, I don't know if he's as big as Nick.
Well, I mean,
He's up
also
there in Canada.
Don's got other stuff too that he's
Yeah.
working with.
Well,
So
so does Nick. I
right,
think they're kind of similar. You know, he has a lot of like, except I think Don maybe does a little more ball pythons type stuff than
right.
Nick does currently. I know he used to, but I don't think he does that much anymore.
I
You know,
would say Nick is probably up there with the amount of um, producing the most Morelia probably any given year. As a breeder, I would say that possibly somebody might come close to him. But just the sheer number, like maybe Phil Starkey could come close, but he's across the sea. So I'd say Nick has
yeah,
got it hands down pretty much.
I haven't really seen him.
Post.
Am I wrong? To like, I see him post that he's breeding, but I don't see him posting animals for sale over here in the U.S. and as
Maybe
much.
there's something. I mean, maybe shipment has just gotten harder and harder with COVID. Maybe he can't really ship to the U.S. that easily. You know, maybe it's cheaper and easier for him to just breed in Europe, UK. I mean, the top breeder over there for Morelia, I would say, would be Paul. But I would say that Paul isn't producing as many clutches as he used to. It seems more like he's got a couple focused ones a year. And I'm not sure if he's producing the mass quantities like he used to.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of get the feeling that he probably is just kind of behind the scenes type of deal, you know, because he's always kind of been, you know,
but
he posts only like, you know, 5%
a little bit
of
like the
what
small,
he produces.
Yes, these things, and then like you're like, wait a minute, where did those adults come from? Oh, those happened other ways. But you know, maybe I haven't seen that much stuff. Like there haven't been that many advertisements about Paul's animals over here. So, I mean, is that still something Nick can do?
I don't know. I think maybe that's I think that might have something to do with maybe importation, maybe perhaps. I don't know.
Listen, and I do know there was something that Australia wanted to do was pass laws of fruit of the poisonous tree kind of a deal, where they said that they did not approve any Australian animals to leave and become in private hands. So they said that all Australian animals are offspring of illegally exported or smuggled animals.
I think I was talking to Rob about that though, and he was saying that was not 100%.
It's not necessarily true, and I know it's not, because then some of them were also were also sent out for zoological facilities, but apparently the government of Australia didn't intend for them to become into private hands, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So that is, and again,
they're too busy bringing back the thylacine.
Exactly, they're too busy trying to bring back a thylacine. Why? Don't worry about it. Reasons. Like it's
yeah.
Isn't it cool though? Like, but there's so many questions. So I don't know if that's
Jason was saying that he doesn't think Phil. Yeah, I don't think so either. I know. I saw him breed him, but I don't. I guess he's not.
That's got to be a goddamn headache. Selling overseas.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. So I was saying to Owen before we started. I've been tracking for like the past couple of months just the availability of carpet pythons on Morph Market. And surprisingly, there's only about 325 available on Morph Market of carpet pythons, which just seems awful low to me. I don't know. I don't know why. I know that you don't have, like, I didn't see Balin on there. I didn't see Kohler on there.
Those guys
I didn't see Paris on there, Andrew Paris.
Well, I think when you start getting down to it, like, I know for a fact Jason still has animals for sale, because I'm going to see him on Saturday and he's going to be set up next to me. Oh. But Jason,
tell him I said hello.
I will. He usually will say, "What's Burke doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. He's not here." So it's
I'm working.
I'm working probably.
Yes, I'm working.
It's one of those things where I know Jason still does a lot of shows. Yeah. So he likes to keep a certain amount of animals in hand to fill up some displays. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not going to turn down sales, but it maybe means that he doesn't have to, he doesn't push, he doesn't list them on Morph Market or other things like that, or online. He just sells what he sells at shows.
Yeah, that Jason brought up a good point after Nido. He downsized. maybe he got hit with that pretty hard. I think at this point, it's pretty much, I don't know. I would kind of say that everybody pretty much has it at this point.
Yeah, either you have asymptomatic animals, or when you had a really bad year a couple of years ago, it probably was some kind of nido.
Yeah. I wonder.
All right, guys. It's just the truth.
I wonder if that has affected sales of Morelia. I know it doesn't seem to have. You think so?
Well, I know it has, because there's some dealers who I used to deal with who don't want wholesale carpets because of nido.
No kidding.
Now, these people are, of course, the best and the most pristine of flippers.
Meanwhile, all their other snakes are crawling with mites.
Exactly. Like, I don't want your dirty ass nido animals. Oh, okay. By the way, that animal there is dead. Like it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I don't know how you can't
shake it.
I don't know how you get around that.
You can't, unfortunately, and you just got to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it seems to me, for at least from my observations of what I've dealt with. I mean, I've tested animals and they've come back negative, but I haven't like really tested them over and over again. So
me too.
I can't say that I don't have it, but I also can't say that I have it. I don't have animals, knock on wood, with respiratory infections, so I don't have that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how.
To be honest,
I struggle with this one,
To be honest, respiratory infections seem like something that. So I used to get a couple RIs here and there, just wherever. And now that Melissa's here, snake shows a sign of being somewhat ill. Immediately, we're swabbing its mouth, and immediately we're taking it to having the vet run cultures. And then immediately we're getting some medication that can kill whatever's going on in there. And there have been some medications that I would have never thought possible or needed or even in the realm of our scope of care, because it was usually, we'll throw Bachelor at it. And if that doesn't work, we'll throw amikacin or something else at it. It's like this. I had one snake that she showed symptoms of an RI. We swabbed her. We found out it was some kind of bacteria in her lungs it was gram negative or gram positive bacteria. It was something different.
Right.
So it was shaking off Bachelor. It was laughing at it like amikacin and Ceftaz and things like that. It needed some sort of oral medication that only came in a pill that Melissa had to grind down into a powder, make into some sort of mix it with a certain amount of liquid to make it into a suspension so that I could shoot it into the snake's mouth with a syringe.
Wow.
Snake kicked it. It was fine. She's totally fine now. Perfect. But on the surface, she showed the symptoms of a respiratory infection, of any other kind of respiratory infection. So how much other shit do we just kind of glance off? Because I know this is going to be shocking for people, but reptile people, when they're like, something's wrong with the snake, I just turn up the dial 2 clicks and now I wait. And the other thing is that these animals are also very, very good at hiding things. So by the time you notice things, it's already very bad.
Yeah, that's
true. Then you're going to just try to crank the heat and wait because you don't want to go spend a certain amount of money on the vet.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Should we as a community be, testing animals before we breed? Should we not worry about it? Should we, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I think if you worry about it, you're going to stress yourself out and you're going to burn out and you're going to leave. If you try to find the secret nido under the rock, you're going to go crazy. But I think what you need to do is obviously take a good assessment of your animals before you try to breed them, and always err on the side of caution. You and I made the call about your hypo male the other week.
Yep.
And it was one of those, could he go? Yeah, probably. Do we want to stress him out and do all this bullshit to him? Not really. Fuck him. He can wait another year. Like, it's not what harm comes from waiting another year? It just gets bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. If the animal is small, you would put it with a big,
he'd lose his goddamn mind. Yeah.
Big females, stress, new environment, all that stuff. Who knows what would happen? If just, again, this is just if that animal had Nido and comes to your collection,
right?
That animal has Nido in your collection.
Well,
if your animal had Nido in your collection,
and then I brought,
back,
exactly. Blah, blah, blah. This is, I do not do breeding loans anymore.
Yeah.
If I'm sending an animal, which I hate taking other people's animals, so if I do a breeding loan, it's normally I send the animal away.
Yeah.
And the list of people who I'm willing to do that to is so goddamn short. It's ridiculous. Like, it is like you and then maybe two other people.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. It's like, but it's so, like, to do that, I send the animal out and I'm already okay if that animal never comes back. I'm never expecting it to come back. If I wasn't okay with that, I wouldn't have sent it.
Yeah, I think I would advise to everybody that if you're going to do a breeding loan, it has to be with somebody that you are tight with, that you trust, and that, you're not going to, if something goes wrong, that you're going to be able to accept that something went wrong.
So I normally don't get into, like, the horror stories that happened with me in my younger years, because they're horror stories for a reason. But I made a terrible decision when I was younger. I had a zebra from Jason Balin,
right?
One of my first zebras, and he was gorgeous. Oh my God, he was black, he was yellow, he was pretty, but I had no freaking money. So somebody out of the blue offers me their female zebra to breed, split the clutch. And I'm like, okay. I get the female zebra. She's in my house for a grand total of a week. She rolls and she dies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, shit.
Right. Now I'm totally don't know what to do. I'm totally like, so I call the guy and I tell him what's going on. And he demands that I pay him back for his zebra. And the way he had me do that is he had me buy a pair of inlands from Justin.
Wow.
And then send them to him. And then about a couple years later, he said he was getting out of snakes and offered me to buy the inlands back off of him. The inlands I already paid for. Did
you say who this is?
No. Oh, okay. No, I did not. And I never will.
You said this. I thought this was Balin, and I was
no. I got the zebra from Balin. Balin wouldn't do that.
I got you.
No. My male zebra was from
really,
Balin.
That's really kind of
no. Jason. Jason's a dick. No, no. My male came from Jason. This other guy. I forget his name. But
no. I got.
But
you.
It was.
I follow you.
It was just like, and that was just gut punch.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just a gut punch after gut punch. And it was like, Jesus Christ. So, and then to have somebody be like, well, you can buy the inlands off of me. I already bought the inlands. What the hell are you talking about?
Oh, man, you're double dipping.
Oh, yeah. So it's the fact that, and that's something you got to watch for. It's like, dude, you have any kind of success with breeding any species, the people who keep that species will come out of the woodwork and they will literally be like, and I'll send it to you and you can breed it. Well, who the fuck are you? Like, it's, So
I think the biggest mistake I made when starting breeding was that I bought too much too soon.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow into it. Right. It's that old saying, you grow into business, not go into business type of deal, I just feel like it's so, especially back then, it's so addicting to just buy snakes, you know what I mean? And like, I want this one. Oh my God, a new one came out. Oh, this is, and And
it's the same mentality for people with cars and shit, dude. Like it's the collector mentality.
yeah,
You had some of the most cutting edge, like designer shit out there.
yeah,
And then we would just be like, have you seen the new thing?
yes,
Rather than sitting and be like,
yes,
holy shit, Eric, you have a crap ton of really good diamonds. Like, yeah. So, oh my God.
yeah. So I don't know. That was the one thing that I would say, that if you're gonna start breeding and you're gonna get into breeding, my advice would be to a project or two. You know what I mean? And then
Yes.
breed that, move on to the next one after the next year. I mean, you're always gonna want to have animals in the bullpen, so to speak. Like that you're raising up. But like I think that why I was worried chasing the morph game, Owen was just working on one, and now he's worked on that for basically 11 years, and he's refined that caramel gene to, I say it a lot, is that, I think Nick is probably maybe the only other person that has caramels on the level of what Owen gets, but you don't get the credit, Owen. God damn it.
It's because I don't show them off as much. And that's part of my own initial hang up. And we had that talk where you're like, why didn't you submit caramel shit for the book? And I'm like, well, I didn't want people to look at them and be like, oh, those are crap. And you're like, but they're not. And I'm like, yeah, but I know what you think, but I don't know what other people think. Like,
yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, when you do something good, you should
show. I know.
By the way, I'm wearing this Keith McPeak Bolin shirt tonight that maybe gives them some success this season with the Bolin's python.
Do we have to like somehow he got a tattoo?
I know.
Right, I got a tattoo of a Bolin eye. But it's funny because he's like, I gave up my right arm for Bolin eye. I'm like, oh God, it happened. Like I just gotta get oh no, he's lost it.
Is this what it takes?
Is this what do you want from me? It's like, oh no.
It's like Saul all over again. Oh my God. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, I'll do it. It's like, okay, buddy. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like that would be the things that I would look at as far as when you're going into breeding season.
We'll backtrack a little bit because we kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's
we're jumping over.
We're all over the place. So obviously, first, like getting ready for breeding season. Let's start there. First is assess the animal's health and your pairs. Who's good, who's ready to go, who didn't recover that well from breeding last year, who might need another year. Make that decision and then stick to it. Don't sit there and be like this one. And then like a month later, be like, no, here you go. Because then you're just going to just make your plan and stick with it. And there's nothing wrong with delaying a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Second, look at the market. Obviously, if you still have a shit ton of babies from last year, repeating that pairing would be stupid. Like
follow your own advice.
I am going to follow the problem is that when you get to the point where I am, where you're like, you have so many animals, it's like, I can do all this. Like, I'm not going to repeat a single pairing. How many pairings do I have? 32. Are any of them repeats? No. Fuck. Like it's
yeah, that's the hard thing too. Like when you have so many. So, I'm
sorry. There's one repeat pairing, and it's the gold face white lip.
Okay, fair enough. Fair play. Okay. All right. You can have that one.
Thank you.
I sort of do that in going into the summer.
Right.
I sort of like get a overlay of what I think I may want to do. Mm-hmm. And that list may be 20 long, right? 20 pairings long. I'm never going to breed all those pairings. It's just like, oh, I could do this. I could do that. Maybe 2012. No,
Eric.
No, 2018. I did that. I will never do that again.
Never do that again.
Never, ever again. No, because, and Rob told me, and like a dummy, I didn't listen to him, and I'm starting to just listen to him at the gate. He's like, what are you doing, man? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
I love how
what are you talking about, bro? I'm breeding all these pairs.
It was the last episode you guys were talking about Australia, and I was talking about what I had in quarantine, and Rob's head, he just goes like this. And I'm like the disappointment. Like, oh my god, that hurt. Like it was just... Rob's like, you idiot. I'm like, oh.
I'm more like Rob though, where you're not like Rob, right? And as far as this, it's like we like and enjoy the smaller collection, where you like the breeding, the sales, the shows, you like all that shit. I do not.
If I could, dude, if I could have somebody sell my animals for me, I would. But it's the sales and the
ads and asking the
right.
You know what I mean? The questions and the pictures.
Right.
Send me a picture of the head stamp and then what does the parents look like? And
I do. That is probably the least favorable thing. I don't really enjoy that too much.
Well, doing the breeding is fun.
Exactly.
Like I do with all the babies.
That is where my bread and butter is that slowly over time I have become the mad scientist.
Yes, where we've traded places.
Exactly. I want to breed this. I want to see what these babies are going to look like. And then also I want to be challenged. Like I want to get the white lips to breed. Why? Because that doesn't happen that often. Never for me.
Yeah.
I want the new thing to breed. Like this year, I want to get the black-faced white lip off the bench. That would be great. But then I want to see if I can repeat the blonde hognose, because I finally figured out with them that they just love frog. So if you just get a frog leg and cut it into little chunks, the babies eat that immediately. And then scented pinkies.
Yeah. And like your arsenal of reptile husbandry technique, whatever you want to call it, is way more diverse than mine, right? Mine is pythons, pretty much Australian pythons. I'm pretty much in this box.
Here it is.
I don't really care about anything else. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. I prefer to herp those things rather than to keep those things.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right. No, it does. And you know, I mean, I have a chance of producing 4 clutches of Madagascar giant hognose. And I mean, those things have been fantastic for me these past 2 years. So I'm looking at building that up. I want to get
pretty soon. You're gonna be the guy. I'm
gonna be the guy. I'm already slowly becoming that.
Like, you're gonna be the guy.
When did you start in the hobby? You're still fairly new. No, God damn it. I've been here since 2005. It just was fucking with Morelia this whole time.
I think the thing is like, I've accepted my place in herpetoculture as, the podcast guy. Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with that. And I don't need to breed, the bones to be like, to feel like I've made a mark, right?
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does.
And I'm sort of, I can't do all the work for this and do all the work for the breeding too.
Right.
So really it came down to me making a decision, and I'm going to continue to take the network where I want to go, or am I going to just let it, whatever happens, and sort of go into the breeding? Like at some point, one had to give. And
that's why we need the facility. I'll focus on the breeding. You can do a podcast.
Yeah. And now I started messing with video. I sent you the video I edited today for the one carpet python thing. And then I started realizing like, oh, I need better equipment. I got, I don't think it was until I started actually doing it that I realized like, oh, okay, I need to think about the shot, all those kind of things.
Look, so there's a reason that when Rob comes to take a photograph, it seems like there's light coming from everywhere, and that he's there for an hour. Like all the reasons for that.
I have to do the same thing with video.
You do,
if that makes sense. You know what I mean? In order to get what I'm getting in my head, I'm like, oh shit, I need a drone. I need a, I need my brother was showing me this drone that he got, and I'm like, oh my god, it's got 4K video on it. I'm like,
Justin had the one
in Australia. Can you imagine being on Norlangi?
Just dude.
I don't think you could have gotten in Norlangi, but still.
We could have gotten so close to that freaking Owen belly python if we had a small robot that could go up. Like it was
yeah, no kidding.
That's what Justin showed me his, in Arizona. He has a small one that he can just fold out of the case and stuff like that. Apparently, he could lock it into onto a thing, and it would keep track. Like, that's what I want you to zoom. Like, and then it would.
That's what my
and then
my
it could
brother
fly
has that
out,
same type of thing,
and then it
right?
could fly in, and then it could pivot all the way around, and it would keep the camera
Yeah.
on the thing. It's like, oh, son of a bitch! Like, yeah.
This is how I'm gonna find Sasquatch. Oh, sorry.
That's first off. The monkey does. No, there are other people out there with bigger drones, and guess what? They still haven't found the fucking thing. So it's.
But
anyway, back to breeding.
So yeah, I mean, you have to be. It's so in 2018, I was like real pumped about how many clutches I was going to do. Oh man, this is going to be crazy. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to crush it, and I did it, and it was a nightmare because I had so many babies, and it became so overwhelming. And I was like, I'm never repeating this again, and I haven't.
And I didn't. And
so this is something that, and that's something you should think about, because it's going to take a lot of time to get those babies established, and especially if you're doing like some, like you're saying with like mad hogs and stuff, where it's difficult to get them eating, or Antaresia, or blackheads, or chondros. I mean, carpets are
yeah, exactly.
So they can be picky, but they're not as picky as some of those other species.
This is how I know I'm getting into a groove of certain species. I got all my rhinos to eat fish-scented pinks.
Yeah.
Way sooner than I did before.
Right.
And now that they're over there on fish-scented pinks, it's like autopilot. It's just like another bucket I thaw out and I throw it at them, and there we go. Where now I'm focusing more on getting the mad hogs onto actual rodents as opposed to just chunks of frog. So there's that whole thing. And then the problem is when you have so many babies, if one or two is going to start being a fucking problem, you really don't have the ability to sit down and grind it out with that animal like if you did when you only had 40 babies. Like if you have 300 something kids and 5 or 6 are giving you trouble, you're going to have to. I had to set different days aside where I would go downstairs and just focus on trying to get the non-feeders eating. Because if I tried to do that on a normal feed day, everything would just grind to a halt, and I wouldn't be able to feed all the other things that I needed to feed that day.
Right. Yeah. It becomes a challenge.
It does. And there's something along the lines of,
especially if you're working a full-time job.
Right.
You got a wife, kids, whatever the case would be.
But,
not yet. Right?
Yeah, no.
He's like, no.
God, no. But there's a lot of shit that has to come with that stuff. And we touched on a little bit of, economy and prices and stuff like that. I'll tell you right now, the prices of rodents are going through the freaking roof.
So that was going to be my other point, right? Yeah. I mean, you think about, we've said for a long time, like being able to take care of the babies as they, Justin
that will not become a thing. Everybody delete that word from your brains. Okay.
No, I got to show it, man. I got to.
No,
sorry.
No.
Take it, Chuck. Take it on.
No.
It's going to be an Ewok.
God damn it. No, Schmitty does not need any help, okay? God fucking damn.
Nothing but love. Anyway, Mac and Wooklets.
Not sure which one I like better.
Mac and Wooklets.
Robert.
Oh, that's great.
Dude, Robert, please come to Hamburg. I'll have no one to talk to except for, Jason Balin and various other reptile people. But yes, please come to Hamburg.
So I think that's the thing that I would be very, concerned about, right? Or either I would start breeding my own rodents, especially if you're just going to have, like, if you have, I don't know, Rob used to tell me, like, just have like even just one rack of like mice.
Yeah,
you could probably, be able to feed the babies from that.
I have 3 mice. And they had 12 babies this past litter that got up to hoppers. And I got 3 breadlie to eat off those live hoppers.
Breadlie love hoppers, man.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
something
you
like
can't
they
feed
won't
them anything.
they won't
but
take
hoppers.
they won't take a fuzzy, but you throw in a hopper where you're like, that's way too
It's
big.
like this
You,
tiny little, you're like, this can't be right.
you come back and it's just like swollen and laying there, and you're like,
You're just
I
like,
don't.
this can't
Jesus
be
Christ.
right.
Well, actually, and it's funny too because I told you I had that I had the hypo Chinese king rat that I hatched. It would not eat anything, and I finally got it to start eating bits of frog. And then yesterday it took a live hopper, and I'm like, success! I'm gonna sell your ass so fast. Like, I hate you. So but that's something else you have to work with and you have to do. So
so I think that would come in. That's
both
very
children
true.
and rodents.
And I couldn't do it. I can't even do roaches. I've learned that
roaches
if I tried to breed the roaches, that gives me the asthma. I got the flu over the
gives me the asthma. Oh
yeah. I can't do it. I tried, so I just buy my roaches online.
I have one cage of mice, and I may expand that into 2 cages, but I don't want to because it's a whole nother goddamn thing you have to clean. Like,
exactly right. If you're, how much time do you got to invest? I know it's not a ton of time.
No,
I've heard people talk about it. It's not one of those things where it's like, but it does take time, you know, so you got to make a trade-off. And then not to think you have to have a new rack. You got to have, if you're going to have a couple clutches, 12 to 15. So you're looking at 24 to 30 babies. That's 34 water bowls. That's 34 hot. You know what I mean? 34 perches.
Whole nother rack.
And you can, you can cut corners and, DIY it and, all that kind of stuff and make them out of plastic hangers and the garden netting shit and all that kind of stuff, toilet paper rolls and paper towel.
There are ways to do it. Like if you want to even go to the, you use plastic bowls. I do the ceramic ones because I just clean everybody's bowl. But that's, again, your cleaning of water bowls is so much faster and easier than mine, but you got to pay for the plastic containers. I spend 2 hours scrubbing bowls. Like it's, give or take.
Yeah. Schmitty is exactly right. The overproduction thing seems to be a lesson you can have 30 people tell you to avoid, but it doesn't fully sink in until you're deep in Neos. And that's 100% right. I mean, that's really where I went. I was worried about you this season but see, luckily for you, I mean, I don't know what Melissa contributes, but at least you have somebody that's nothing.
Never mind. Listen, it has to be complete. It has to be sick before she'll even look at it. Like that's not a thing.
I take that off the counter.
She's not.
I was going to say she's at least going to do more than my wife. No. I have to say that she does feed my lizards while I'm in Australia.
Yeah, there you go. Melissa would show Buddy where the door is to the basement when I would be in Australia. That's how far Melissa would go.
Right.
Now, if there's something sick, she will jump right on it and she will do everything she does. And she has saved numerous animals in my collection from
saved a couple in my collection too.
Yeah, various stupid things that these animals tend to do.
Yes.
From Glitch's freaking eyeball to my water python broke her tooth and had a giant infection in her face this week. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
You and this liasis group.
I hate liasis. I don't know why I do liasis, man.
I think that's something you have to be very.
Burnout is 100% real, and it can happen at any time to anybody, no matter how long they've been in here. And to be completely honest, I got very close this year because of
I saw it coming.
Every clutch that fucking hit because of the wedding, because of everything else, and through only the grace of burning off a ton of babies to wholesalers and things like that, was I able to kind of keep it rolling. But I mean, I'm heading into this breeding season, and I told you, I'm like, I haven't put animals together because I don't want.
I haven't either. Yeah. Are you afraid to take a year off? Are you afraid to take a year off?
No, because I've slimmed down. Do you remember the year I moved out here? I only had
Oh yeah, that's right. You did.
20. I only had 2
sort of.
clutches, but like one of those clutches was Trinity, and she lays 32 eggs. So it was like I had a slim year, only 60. Like it was.
Taking a year off for me just makes me pumped up the next season. It is kind of like, what's the word? It's sort of the feeling you get when you want to have a new, like when somebody has a new snake and you want to have a new snake and you want to show it, look, check this out or whatever, you know, somebody will be showing a new pop one and I'll be like, damn, I should have jumped on that, you know? And then it passes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that feeling passes. Yeah. So like when you see, you know, snakes hatching out and new carpets or new, you know, real cool things and new morphs combos and all that kind of stuff, you're like, oh man, I could have did that. That's awesome. And then it passes. You know? So you just have to be able to like ride out that wave of it passing, you know?
I will say this year is definitely slimmer when it comes to the Morelia, and it's a lot of stuff that I have not produced. So it's my caramel head exanic to my caramel jag head exanic.
So you're trying for ghosts.
Right. Oh yeah. So there that has to go.
Right.
Then I have this really nice caramel stripe coming from Travis that I'm going to throw with the caramel stripe I produced.
Right.
So I want caramel stripes. But then I'm just going back to basics with tigers. And that's pretty much it. There's not really any other Morelias that are out there. Like I'm not breeding the Brisbane. I'm not doing jungles. I did throw your zebra jag in with a female, but I gave a couple females the year off just because they went straight. So I'm really not going too nuts with that. It's just that everything else is piled up. So obviously both face of white lips. I have 2 female olive pythons going this year. And I have the stonewash male going to a het stonewash female. So I've never produced stonewash before. So there's that. So where the burnout seemed to happen for me this year, where I really just felt like, and it was the burnout of I'm sitting on the sofa and I had to tell Melissa, I'm like, tell me to go downstairs and clean snakes because I have to, and I can't. And and she would say, go downstairs, clean snakes, and I'd get up and go. And that's not really the burnout. It's more of like I had to get pushed to do it. It happened when I was at the height of the breeding season. Like, and I was still getting eggs. Like it happened right when the bread-like clutch hatched because I was so done. And I'm like, all right, everybody's feeding. I'm coasting for the rest of the year. And then I just got dropped a whole new clutch of snakes again. It was like, I'm finished. No, you're not. It's like, oh, damn it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you also had a wedding this year, so
there was that. Yeah, there was that.
That was a little stressful for you. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah,
and it's like right at that main time of the wedding planning is the main time of the you know.
Yeah, I know that was stupid planning, but we're good now. Everything's chill. But I'll tell you right now,
made it through it.
But also tell you that she is an enabler. Okay, because I'm sitting there and we were coming back from your place last time we were there, and we're driving and she's like, we don't have diamonds. And I'm like, no. And she's like, we could get diamonds. I'm like, we don't have any place to put diamonds. She goes, if we set up a tank right up to Zero's cage, we could do diamonds. I'm like, no. No, we can't do diamonds. We can't. Please, no. It's just no. Yep.
Justin was so Schmitty. We were kind of talking about this a little bit when we started, but do you guys see a lot of other people pulling back on their pairings this season next year with the people slowing down with spending in general?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, this is sort of that. This again is like what I mean. Jesus, so you know, breeding carpets is kind of easy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. You can accidentally have a clutch. Yeah.
So we'll go through that, no doubt. But I think it's important to sort of talk about these things before
these
are all go and put things, you know.
Yeah, these are all things that need to get added and thought of for a little bit for breeding.
I think that, you know, I don't know how the economy is going to be in a year. I mean, is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? You know, and then we're going into 2024.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen then? You know, like I just don't know. I don't know.
And we've hit recessions before, and with snake sales, it's one of those things where you will see some of the larger breeders who say do this for a living fold up because it's not sustainable. Being a hobbyist, it's always sustainable. This isn't.
Do you think it's the larger breeders though, or do you think it's those breeders that are sort of the in between, like newer ones that are sort of establishing? Like I don't see Justin Kabilka shutting down because the economy is shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's the ones that say have a brick and mortar store that's attached to a pet store, or would that be considered smaller? Or it's the ones that you always hear about when the economy's shit and snake sales go bad. You always hear about that one guy who clearly quit his job to be a full-time snake breeder, and now he's picking up shifts doing something else because it's his full-time income is taking a hit. Again, we're hobbyists. Will there always be room in the hobby for us? Of course, because this isn't. I don't need this to pay the bills. I need this to feed the snakes, which fine. I just won't breed that many. So when it comes down to it, I can keep going. It's just that I don't have any overhead. Like I don't have a store. I don't have a building. I don't have all this other stuff that I have to do. So that I think would be the ones who take a hit.
Yeah, so I was looking at Morph Market. Like I said, there was like 354 carpets, but there's 1,500 retics available. Yeah. And it's not I'm not trying to knock retics, but I'm just thinking like that just seems odd to me that let's see how many ball pythons there are. How many do you think?
I'd say at least 3,000.
3,000?
Yeah.
No. 47,000.
Jesus. Well, so all right. Explanation time for both. One, ball pythons are bred like crazy all over the place, and there's that. Secondly, retics they have huge clutches, and I would say numerous people get a retic and then realize that they're way over their skis and then try to sell the retic.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That could be the case. We were talking about it before. I know there's other places where you can sell stuff. We talked about, how Balin's not on Morph Market. And I think Curtin just joined it. And even Nick wasn't on there for a while. Now he is. But that's sort of like how you're going to sell the babies. Now you have another expense if you're going to get a Morph Market page, or you're going to get a website. That's another expense. How are you going to get people to that website? Have you been posting stuff of your animals? This is where I think like naming your snakes is as sometimes as stupid as it sounds. I think that it sort of makes it sort of makes that snake known. Yeah. At least in the Morelia world, it seems both in chondros and in carpets. Seems like chondros do it better. But I mean, think about it. You think about some of those chondro names where it's like GTP KX27659. Now, a chondro person's going to be like, I know exactly who that animal is.
Yeah,
blah,
exactly.
blah, 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 blah. But isn't it much easier to remember the sickness? Yes. You know what I mean? It's so much easier to say, oh, I got an offspring from the sickness. And it even makes you feel like you have something of value that other people may not have. It's like, oh, one of my offspring came from Madame Blueberry or the sickness or, highlighter or poster child or all these names. I think that, I don't really see it. You don't see that in colubrids. No, I don't know. Do you?
No, because they all kind of look the same.
They're a different type of nerd, right?
Yeah. It's like my black and white king I've named Draco, and is it different from your black and white cow? How so? Like I don't see it. Like it's but
I think there's something to that. I do think there's something to
there definitely is. And
are you going to do this is where I do agree with the YouTube people. Schmitty's gonna do it corns. He knows he's not dumb. He's gonna take what he's learned from the Morelia world and take it over into the corn world.
I'm gonna hatch out a new morph of bears and name it something stupid, so you'll have to deal with it.
I've heard. I don't know the name.
Yeah,
but I know exactly what the snake looks like, just from listening to THP or Corn Snarls or Snakes and Stogies, one of those where they were talking about, I can't remember. Damn, I wish I could remember the name of the snake, but they're like, they always talk about this snake, and it's like, oh yeah, they always talk about this snake, and I know what it looks like. I just don't know the name, but because they had a name with it, it clicked in my head. Somewhat.
Yeah.
That's the one, Hannibal. How can I forget Hannibal? That was an IJ. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, because your wire immediately goes to Hannibal IJ. This thing isn't an IJ, correct?
No, it's no, it's not. It's a beautiful snake. It's amazing. It's a colubrid, Owen.
What kind of colubrid?
Oh no, we switched again.
Oh no, what happened?
I don't know what kind of morph it is. It's some kind of morph, or it's like a selectively bred thing, because it's a beautiful snake. It's beautiful,
of course.
Snake. But I think that's where, again, I think this is the difference between
Miami,
the world.
Honey, Tessera? Jesus Christ.
Yes. Yes. Let me see. Schmitty, if you send me a message
send
of the
pictures.
snake, I'll put it up. I'll put it up and you can see how nice this snake
I do love Tesseras. I just never did Tesseras. I had Miamis and a honey. Jesus, did I make this thing? Make this thing by accident?
Silent Hill Reptiles. Yep, that's it. But anyway, I just think like I think that this is where like YouTubers, right, have also realized that I think that that's their way of promotion, right?
Right.
Because if you become this YouTube, what would you call it?
Sensation,
celebrity, whatever.
Person,
yeah,
human.
Of interest.
Yeah.
That somehow you will, sort of make a name for yourself, and people will want your snakes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that will kind of work in your favor. Like, obviously people will seek you out for your animal, because it is just making a name for your line and yourself. So you have rogue reptiles, but then you have animals from this thing. And honestly, your best advertisement for that is when you sell babies and other people go out there and they're showing pictures and they say, well, this is from Owen and this is its parents. Because then people will start making the connection that, all right, well, if it came from Owen and it came from this male, holy crap, that thing's good. So they want to know what that one is. And I've had it before where people will say that they've been watching me and they've been seeing me post pictures of this animal, and they want to know when this one is going to breed and when this one's going to show up, because they want babies from that, because they like the look of that animal and they want to see that thing. So it does help. And it kind of is one of those things that you need to determine when you're getting ready to breed, of like, show off your animals. It's cool. I have seen this animal before.
And here's another one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see, I think very cool. So, I don't know. There's things you have to think about: how you're going to promote them, how you're going to sell them, what are you going to do,
Right. And, I would say that when
I think
economy...
for you don't necessarily have to worry about it as much, right?
Yes,
because
I do.
You're on a podcast. I mean, you do, but you're weekly talking about your animals.
Yeah, all the time.
Blah, blah, blah,
Well, I do have a website that I pay for. And I do pay for a morph market. And I will tell you that I think when the economy gets worse, reptile shows tend to get better. So vending at shows tends to get better. You make more sales at a reptile show, because right now, I'll tell you, shipping is disgusting. Like, I would say it used to be I could send an animal from PA to probably West California, Midwest area, stuff like that, 70, 80, 90 if it's going all the way to California. I'm getting into the 92s, 93s, stuff like that. And that's just for a small box,
right,
with a hatchling carpet python in it.
wow.
So, and obviously other people have discounts with shipping companies and this, that, and the other thing. And
Sure,
obviously there are some shipping companies that are more expensive than others, but everything's going to get more expensive. So shipping may not be something that customers are willing to do if the economy's bad. Or let's put it this way, if people are going to buy snakes, if they want to buy snakes, it's just like how people buy dogs and cats and stuff like that. Like, they aren't going to stop. It just means that
it's just the amount, right?
Right. The amount is going to go down. And then they're also going to be extremely picky about what they got. There's going to be a shit ton more haggling when it comes to prices and shipping and this, that, the other thing. So people are probably going to come to shows with money in hand, ready to buy, and they're going to make the purchase at the shows. Because then I don't have to worry about shipping. I just put it in my car and drive home.
Right.
Also, they're not going to pay to
you don't have to worry about, getting stuck and all that kind of stuff. And,
am I going to pay for frozen rodents to be shipped in? Well, shipping's a whole nother cost that I might not be able to afford. So I'm going to go down and talk to my local rodent breeder and buy from him this time.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the price of rodents. Like, yeah. I'm just like, whoa.
Well, my rodent price went up because when his costs go up, the prices go up. So it costs him more to freight food and get all that other stuff. So the cost of me buying the rodent has gone up.
Right. So is it going to affect prices for snakes?
Yeah. I would not be surprised.
Are we going to see that go up? And then if money's tight, oh look, there's Silent Hill reptiles now. We are just talking about your beautiful
we're talking about your corn snake.
Yeah. Yes. But is it going to, is it going to drive the price of snakes up?
I mean, the issue
and then are people going to buy it when everything else is so expensive?
Right. That's the problem, is that I don't think prices of snakes are going to go flying up. I think what's going to end up happening is the prices are going to stay the same. How people are buying or something may go a little bit slower, might be a little bit less. And then what'll happen is the economy will kind of bounce back and things will get easier. And then people will start selling out of animals like crazy. And then the prices will go up. It's like the whole Mexican black king snake thing. It's $40. But then the second somebody sells out of the entire clutch in 3 days, now it is now $100 a baby next go around.
Yeah, I see that. But then also the price, once everybody had Mexican black king snakes.
Yeah,
right?
Price
and everybody's breeding them because
right,
they're going into it because they think they're going to, like, oh, look at this hot snake. I'm going to get this because I want to be the one that breeds it. And blah, 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 blah. You have a percentage of that. Then you have a percentage of people that were going to buy a Mexican black king snake.
It's supply and demand. It's supply and demand.
What it is.
No matter what it is. We're talking oranges. We're talking California king snakes. That's the whole thing. So right now, is with inflation and things like that, is how much of it is the demand going to take a hit? And we don't know going into anything. And that's why it's hard to predict when you're getting ready for breeding season. How bad is this going to be? How many animals am I going to have going into next season? I'm not necessarily thinking that people are going to change too much going into 2023. It's just how bad is 2023 going to be to affect 2024, because you can tell everybody.
Well, it might be a good thing, right? It might be a good cycle, right? If people think about it, right? If people slow down, like, here's an example, right? You want to talk about, like, to me, I just don't. So I have 2 projects that I'm focused on, like a laser. Well, 3. Okay. 3 projects that I'm focused on like a laser beam this season: diamond pythons, inland pythons, and Russian red tigers. That's my 3, right?
Okay.
None of you're not going to get. First of all, you're not going to get Russian red tigers. None of them are going to be for sale, right? They're going to go to me, and you are going to split them.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sure I know in me, I'm going to say, okay, Billy Hunt, here's some. Eric Hernandez, here's some, because I know that they're going to take this project and they're going to add to it, right? Because I know they already have that stock,
right? And
so
it would be stupid.
To me, it's not about money; it's about keeping that project going, right?
My curtain. I mean, it would be stupid to keep all the eggs in the one basket,
right?
So, and that's the other part of it too. So I agree with that.
One inland carpet for sale. One inland carpet for the past month.
Other buddy and I had this conversation. He wanted a new project, and we were talking about it, and we're going through it.
What's going on?
and he finally settled on inlands, and then he asked me what I thought. And we talked about it, and then like he went away, and then a couple days later, he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to do it." I'm like, "That is a smart move, because I do not see that many inlands." And I told him, I'm like, "Who works with inlands near us? Eric?"
That's it.
That's about it. There might be somebody else I don't know out there, but
yeah.
So why
Lisa,
not?
Real quick, I'm going to jump in here. I know they're sort of having a chat about naming snakes. Robert, he doesn't name snakes, blah, 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 back and forth and all this stuff. But like all the good IJs had names. Hannibal, Poster Child, Mama, Herman, Pool Boy,
Bullwinkle.
Who else? Hubba Bubba, Versal, Door. Who else?
Bullwinkle Jr.
Well, yeah, but anyway. So there's one inland and there's 6 diamonds, and I'm curious to see if they're real diamonds. Yeah, one's a diamond jag. I don't know why the hell that's on there. That looks like a diamond cross. So 3 of them are on hold. And the other 2 are from Terry Burwell. I don't know who XE is. He has 2, and then Buddy Buscemi has 3, and 2 of them are on hold. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, you should breed your diamonds.
And that's the thing, though. If I breed diamonds, I don't even know if I want to sell them. You know what I mean? Like I would want to get. And again, obviously, I'm gonna give you some diamonds. Like here you go. You're gonna be like,
hopefully by then the dog will be dead, and I can move his crate and build a giant diamond.
I'm sure me and Lucas will be exchanging diamonds at some point, because he's got diamonds. So I want him on his blood. He'll take some of my blood.
And you want to make sure you're on his good side for when his womas start popping.
I'm telling you, man, he is going to be the Woma breeder in the U.S. I promise you, 10 years from now, everybody's going to want a Lucas Lee Woma python.
Listen, buddy, I am your bearded Jiminy Cricket, okay? I am your moral compass. Okay?
I can't believe he gave you good advice.
If he listens to me, he'll go far. Yeah.
But and in contrast to that, let's see. There's 79 Brettles pythons.
Yeah.
There's 42 hypos. There's 17 zebras. I don't even know if that. See, this is the problem with Morph Market, is I think they kind of lump them in because most of them
are crosses.
Brettles.
So
they're Brettles.
Oh, they're hype. Yeah, exactly. So when you go in, you type in what you're doing, and you put in. Have you ever set up a thing on Morph Market?
Yeah, I have that thing.
Okay, so but you go in and then you put it like Morelia, and like even Morelia, Centralian and all other stuff. But then you put in the traits, and it is just hypo. It will put it in with all the other hypos, just like how it doesn't discriminate pure. Oh God, never mind. Like doesn't discriminate pure Jaguar as opposed to other Jaguars. It's like, oh well, never mind. That's not a thing. So
this is what I use to keep track of the what's going on as far as what's for sale. So there's 364 carpets available, and 342 are normals, so that's a good thing. But then like nice. Albinos, caramels, 35 caramels.
Some of those are mine.
Gen X stripes, hypos. There's 42. Somebody sold one. There's 41 jags.
Yeah.
There are some reds.
Yep.
Striped's a weird one because again, it has Brettles in there.
Rattles and everything else in there. Yeah.
Exanic, citrus tigers up there, Will Birds, but they don't look like citrus tigers. I don't know if you've seen them, but they look terrible. Terrible. Stonewashed 5 ocelots, and they're not ocelots. I don't know why.
Are they mics?
Ocelots. No.
They're people who don't know what they're. Half of it is people who don't know what they're talking about. I mean, that's.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, right? If there's not, I mean, I'm sure somebody at Morph Market does. They're sort of doing the best that they can do,
right?
Putting that information together.
But even then, if you're listing the animals, you can only go as far as like somebody told you this thing was an ocelot.
I think if you are invested in carpet pythons and you're selling them on Morph Market, or probably, I bet you could talk to Travis Wyman.
Yeah.
And you could probably send him some ideas of like how to, like change that or something to where it can be broke down. I'm sure that they can do it somehow, but anyway, I mean, that's sort of we've spent an hour sort of talking about that type of thing. I think it's real important because,
right.
when you have, I think that year I must have had maybe close to 200 babies. That was a lot, man. That was a lot to feed. My feed day went from like, it's you got to stay on top of it, especially with ones that aren't eaten, and then you got to answer ads and all of those things, and then shipping and going to shows. There's just so much to it that I think that just be very particular with what you're pairing. I think even in the more complete carpet python book, they sort of talk about it, just don't pair something to breed it,
right?
Unless you know that you're going to have a way to sell those babies, and you don't want to do all this work and then sell them to people that are gonna not take care of them, or
right.
not appreciate what they have, or whatever the case would be. But I don't know.
No, you're right. And you got to try to, you can sit here and try to figure it out all day long. Planning, always assume that you're going to get the eggs, because you never want to sit there and be there with it won't happen, because then it will happen, and then you're just going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 100%. So, once you figure all that out, and you're good with, what you want to do next, really, at this point, this time of the year, it's time to slow things down. You're letting, if I'm sort of, this was the year.
Yeah.
And this is cool, man. I do miss this. I do miss that.
Oh, yeah.
I do miss those little heads popping out. I was trying to find a picture of a citrus so people can know what a real citrus tiger looks like. Not this. Been on Morph Market for a year. So really, like I said, at this point, you're going to sort of, and again, it depends on where you're at. I sort of, we've talked about it before, but I've sort of, here you go. Here's just a baby citrus. You can see the difference.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Riley has some albino citruses going on, which are freaking sweet. And I know a lot of people were busting my stones about not breeding certain things, but that's kind of why. That's sort of my mindset, like why I would do what I want to, would do or not do, or whatever the case would be. But once you're sort of locked into what you're going to do, at that point, it really just comes down to moving through the season. And really, at this point, it's about cool down. If you're breeding diamond pythons, it's about turning things off. You know what I mean? So like
unplugging things. Yeah.
You basically stop feeding at this point. And really with, I'm getting distracted by all these nice carpets as I flick through my pictures.
It's
Quickly, Owen, talk.
It's sorry. It's one of those things where you kind of need to, like I said, at this point, this is when you make the decision. You've already done your prep work, because what you were talking about earlier is in August, you decide pretty much what you're going to do, and then you feed accordingly. This is your go, no go kind of a deal. Like, this animal can't go, this animal will. Then it comes to pairing, and you've got to get your temperatures correct. And if you're doing multiple species, some of them may not be on the same page at the same time. So you have to understand that. What does that mean? Does that mean taking some animals out of different rooms, going through this thing? I paired my olive pythons, and then probably in the next week, I'm going to put my bredli out in the big room. They won't breed, but I need them out there to winter.
There's my girl. That's a citrus tiger.
Yes, that is.
Yeah, she's probably my favorite snake.
She's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So Seinfeld characters. I like that.
You gotta just do it feels right, you know. It's just what's good with that.
Oh, and I like your approach. You pick a different theme every year. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just kind of roll with it and just start throwing names at it. And then also it seems like certain species have themes, which is weird. And then you just kind of stick with it. Melissa helps a ton with that. It's just like, because I'm out of names at this point. I've had so many, and so many animals have been through my collection. So it's just one of those things where it helps with that. So.
Yeah. So for carpets, right, you can break it down into two groups. You got the winter breeders, which are your coastals, your jungles, your Popwins, your Darwins. They're all going to go at that time. Inlands are one of those ones that are kind of on the fence.
Right.
Know? I mean, I know people have bred them. By the way, I don't know if I said this when I said that. I think I did, but I just want to make sure that I did. Justin Julander has some amazing inlands that he's putting up for sale pretty soon. So, but
jump on those
again. He's probably the only one that I see that has them.
Consistently, yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. So like I remember back in the MP days and the forum days, Chuck Poland, he bred inlands like the year one, but he bred them in the winter. So like it was, I don't know if that's because he was on the West Coast. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But there's one of those ones I don't know like where they fit, right? Which is sort of why I'm like sort of struggling with them. I think with, and then you have diamonds, Brettles, and imbricata, which
we don't have those.
I can only dream.
No, one day, yeah.
But they will breed in the spring, right? So you're gonna cool them down and really with that, it's about manipulating the nighttime temperature as not so much the daytime temperature. With diamonds, you want to limit the amount of time that they have exposure to that heat during the day, but they're still going to get heat that they can heat up during the day. But
I give my guys their heat during the day. It's just depending on how low it gets at nighttime. And I would say I'm much meaner when it comes to certain species that are not easies. Like if you're one of those, we'll breed at 70 degrees, fine, whatever. But if you need anything below 70, it's going to get really bad really fast. Like dropping the white lips low, the olives low, my bredli go low. And then it's funny with the colubrids, I just unplug everything.
So with people that are, I guess, I don't know. Are they breeding for temperature? Are they breeding for, the more and more that I'm in Australia and looking at the temps and feeling that stuff, the more I don't know if temperature, because for instance, that video that I sent you today to check out ahead of time, it was 68 degrees at night.
Right. Yeah.
So it's below 70. I guess they're going into the spring, but I would think that the females would be starting to lay at that point. especially of
Well,
those northern southeast Queensland animals. No.
yeah, and I mean, let's put it this way: because you were there about a month ago, right?
Yep.
So I know it's okay. I will say that normally my guys are breeding when the temps when we're starting to do the warm up. So they still have nights that
Yeah.
are somewhere down into the 70s and stuff like that. They haven't fully warmed up yet. So
Mm-hmm.
they need to I mean, I would expect some eggs are going to get laid when it's still getting low into the 70s at night.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
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 I
It almost feels like you don't want it almost feels like the babies are going to be out at the peak of temperature when it's the warmest, when it's easiest for them to survive.
and to get food,
Right.
because everything else is,
Moving
the
and doing stuff like
vegetation
that.
is blooming, and the birds are,
You don't there's a reason that deer
are
don't
back.
have I mean, like you want to have the baby at the right time those can survive. It's like, well, most mammals, they would say normally there would be more babies at springtime
Mhm.
because that's when everything's happening. It's when everything can survive. It's better.
Yeah, right. 100%. So, so really, especially for a jungle. So Poplins for me have always gone first. I think even, Nick has said that. He's on the West Coast. I think I've heard people like Derek Roddy down in Florida that said that he's done the same thing.
Mhm.
I think that they just need less of a trigger. I think that they almost go off of like storm fronts or pressure drops or pressure
Mhm.
changes or things like that. I think, like, if you're trying to breed and you don't see any action, wait until some kind of pressure storm is coming in and the pressure changes. And as soon as that happens, you put your snakes together. I promise you, you will probably see some action if you have a pair. That's probably the other most important thing that we should have started with. When you get your snakes and your little tiny babies, take the time to sex them.
Yeah, don't we have so many different things to do now. Like you can even DNA if you want to, if you're really that thing, but double check. It'll save you a lot of pain down the road.
Yeah. Because we've both succumbed to the thought it was a girl.
Yeah, it turned out to
Why
be a
won't they
boy.
breed?
Yeah, my favorite is when I paired this really nice caramel male with this insane caramel jag, and they combated, and I'm like, that's not good. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, they didn't combat. They chilled for a month and a half, which was weird. Because I'm like, clearly they're just not breeding. And then I put him in with a different girl, and he bred. And then I took the female and threw it to one of my proven females just to see what happened. And they locked up. And I'm like, well, okay. It was, that's why I'm like, you guys were together for 2 months. Why didn't you do anything?
Right.
Why were you cool with each other? Like,
yeah. So make sure you have a pair. That's kind of important.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I would say is, like, I know I'm on the right track. You go into your snake room and you see the males cruising. I mean, they are just relentless in the cage, up and down, cruising.
The rough scale male was cruising last night, but he missed the last feeding, so not 100% sure that's breeding cruising. But
right.
Yeah, because like you remember, there were some episodes where he was set up behind me and he's like on the glass like this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay. So
and sometimes I will say this, like, for those oddball species, right? If you're seeing that action earlier or later, just because we're saying X, you have to take into account where you are, where you're located. It's going to be different for everybody. And that's why I think that, like, I think a couple things. One, I don't think that people really understand. I think they're probably getting more of an idea of it now that we have the technology that you can put a temp gauge in your room and sort of see what your room is doing.
Oh yeah.
Like you can sort of see it now, right? But I think that for years and years and years, you would have so many people say, "Oh, I never dropped the temps or whatever, blah blah blah." And
did you? Yeah,
that was my Nick voice, blah
yeah.
blah blah. But it does. Your room does, you're
Yeah,
doing chameleon geckos? Holy shit.
that's cool.
Wow. That is cool.
But and also
That is
like
cool.
certain things are going to react differently certain ways. I know we've talked with some people who got eggs, like their jungle carpet laid eggs on Christmas Day because
Yeah, I
they
remember
happened to
that
catch
year.
the ovulation. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff with that. Like I'm gearing up for them. I'm going to start messing with them. I got to do the introductions to the black-faced white lip soon. There's a lot of stuff that you got to do. And if you breed multiple species, you run around like a maniac. Thank God I have Herbstat 4s, 6s, 2s, because I could just program and run away.
Are you real particular about your light cycles and such?
No,
Or do you not pay
12, 12.
attention to that? 12-12. So
12,
you don't
12.
adjust that at all.
Year round, 12, 12.
Yeah. 12-12.
Because shit changes. Like we went away, which I got the little robot that you were talking to me about that like turns the lights on and turns the lights off. And it's like, oh my God, I love this thing. So I did that. And without that, we were away for the weekend and the lights down in the basement were just off.
Yeah.
In certain rooms, not all the rooms. Some of them have timers. So they just didn't get it. Now, could there have been a couple really dark days or some storms? Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. But I'm not really that crazy when it comes to light cycles.
Some people are.
They are.
Some people breed to light cycles. I remember Luke Snell was really sort of pushing towards that. And I think it was probably because he was becoming more chondro focused as he progressed in his, in what he was doing. But he did it for his carpets as well. But it's not to say that you can't. I seem to follow the rule, and this has always been my rule, and it's sort of tweaked a little bit, but this will just give you an idea. You follow the holidays. It's it's the holidays of the year, and it'll sort of give you an idea of what you want to do. October, you stop. Halloween, you stop feeding. Thanksgiving, you start to cool. Christmas, you introduce. Probably around Valentine's Day, you're going to start to see her starting to build.
Yep.
And then you're probably going to get babies either Memorial Day, you know what I mean? Somewhere in there, or maybe St. Patty's Day, something like that,
Yeah. Your last couple babies will be around the 4th of July. Like, it's
or you'll get eggs probably sometime around St. Patty's Day. And then you'll probably hatch them out sometime around Memorial Day.
Right.
And then again, that's just the sort of
that's carpets. Like, yeah.
Other things, I
different.
Not so much. How does that fit with white lips? When did you breed them?
You make a liar out of me when it comes to a lot of things. One of the things I always said is that no matter what, if I ever bred a rare species, I wouldn't know any of the things, and I would just say, well, I put the male and the female.
You're not going to do that. Oh, I like it.
I am not. I, sir, am not a liar.
You have notes.
I do. So,
how you've grown, Owen.
I know, right? Let's see. All right. So the white lips, October, November, no food. December, start dropping the temps at night, kill the room heat, and then looks like from December 1st to the 14th, their night drop was about 75 degrees. From the 15th to 21st, it was about 72. Then we did the first introduction after Christmas around the 5th, which is when the night drop was down to 68. Then for about a week from the 12th to the 18th, it was to 65. Then from the 19th to the 25th is when it was the coldest. It actually got to 62. Then after that, it slowly starts coming up. Now, as far as when everything happened, let's see the pictures. Those will tell us the truth of when Owen took pictures when he was screaming. Okay. Those it definitely happened. You probably could have heard it.
I think I did.
Probably. Let's see. Okay, so caught her basking belly up June 7th. And I want to say that we saw locks the month before. So, okay. We got locks in April, May. She was basking belly up on June 7th. And the eggs arrived June 10th.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did they do the crazy inverted pretzel thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
right
yeah.
Before they laid?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Here. I'll send you the pictures, even though I know I already have.
Yeah.
I like bombarded you with these pictures, but you know, why not? Let's do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Let's re-see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing that is a telltale sign that your female is about to lay, is that like they get in the most uncomfortable positions, and like, you know, that eggs are coming in a couple days.
Well, it's funny because I remember I showed you the first picture that she was semi-inverted, and you're like, dude, dude, you got it. And I'm like, no, not yet. We're not sure yet. And you're like, what? And I'm like, no, not sure yet. And then the next picture I sent you, she was fully inverted, and you were like, Jesus fucking Christ, will you please? And I'm like, yeah, I think I got it. And then like 3 days later, there were eggs. So
yeah, that has not led me astray. Here we go. Owen's got three pictures here. Oh, yep. I remember these pictures. Here we go. So once the female, you know,
that was her. Usually... Yeah. That was when I was like, I'm not sure. And you're like, are you serious?
And then 2 days later, it was,
look at her,
this.
God damn it. And then, yeah.
So it went from this
to this to this
to that. So for people that are listening, we're looking at the back third. She's belly up.
Yeah, my gold face.
Then she's pretty much the entire,
she's completely inverted,
except for her head.
For
the first third.
Yeah,
and
then the eggs.
Look at those beautiful, nice.
Oh
eggs.
my God, I still have them.
How are the babies doing? How are they doing?
Oh, they're great. They're fantastic. They'll be with me at Hamburg. Little hellions.
You're going to sell some? Or just showing them
I
off?
have 2 that I'm going to sell. I have a pair that I'm going to sell. Out of 10 babies, I cannot keep them all. So I have 1 is spoken for. Lisa.
Really? Okay. Very good.
See, when you have things I want and I have things you want, it's much easier for me to be like, you give me that, I'll give you this. So yeah.
What are you trying to get from Lisa? Gotcha.
Lisa's got blackface white lip. I want them. So
gold face. See, I like the gold face, but you know, I know.
Dude, some of the baby golds are like gold from the head down.
Yeah, I like.
And I'm like, son of a bitch.
I know the black's the popular one, and everybody likes that one, but you know, I always like the gold.
So yeah, there's one spoken for Lisa. The other is I'm doing a swap with Ryan for his golds.
Did it look like this? I don't know whose picture this was, but I saved it for some reason. And then it went to that.
I don't think it's that. His are captive born and bred, Ryan. So, but this way he and I can do that and swap it around a little bit, get the bloodlines different, and then I have a pair that I'm a male and a female I'm keeping for myself. So this year I will have a trio that I will raise up. One will be from Ryan Young's bloodline.
Okay. Nice.
And then that will bring the grand total of gold face white lips in the house to God knows what. 3.3.
Wow.
Yeah. I need a bigger house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. That's for sure.
And then after I do all that swapping and setting and figuring out which ones are mine, I may have some more that I will release, but I only have a pair that I'm willing to let go right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
got a bunch of olives. Do you still need an olive? Am I holding one back for you?
Yeah, you're a male, I think.
Male? All right. I'll go downstairs and tag it. I'll pick that one that's really. There's one
mean?
really
beautiful.
Yes, there's one really mean one. I'm like, why? You're a baby olive python.
It'll come to me and just be nice and chill and
Exactly. That's how we gotta flip it. Yeah, I got you.
What about the olives as far as are their timing pretty much coincide with your carpets?
They're a little bit later. But
Later?
they're right on point because I want to say I got the olive eggs like immediately after the white lips. Oh
Really?
yeah, I'm sorry, before the olives laid June 4th.
Okay.
But they take longer incubating. So white lips were laid on the 10th, olives were laid on the 4th. White lips hatched August 10th. Jesus Christ, 60 days like to a goddamn day. Olives did not hatch until the 19th.
I forgot about my other
That's a
parent.
poison ivy, baby. I told you there was 4. I told you there was 4.
Yeah.
I said 4. I didn't know why I said 4, but I said
usually
4.
I show Owen these pictures, but I usually don't show other people these pictures
That
just because I
is
don't
a
want
poison
people
ivy
bombarding
boy.
me. But
Damn, I love
so just so people can see this, I'm going to explain this. So what happens is this is when it hatched out. So they hatch out normal looking. And then they hatch out normal looking. And then each time they shed,
they get more black.
You see in between where it will usually be like normal IJ's colors. It just gets darker and darker and darker. This one is pretty much probably down to like the bottom of the white here, along like the belly scales almost.
Well, and the
it's
head
pretty
stamps,
much solid black.
The head stamps too, like it had more pattern
They
in the
disappear.
head stamps when they hatched. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can see like at the
it
corners
bleeds
here,
out.
This will slowly disappear. Like I don't know. So my feeling is it's kind of like it's a Jason's like, what's that? It's a poison ivy baby.
Poison ivy baby.
I think it's similar. This is my theory. I don't know. I'm not going to say this for 100% sure, but my feeling is works like the IMG gene in boas.
Okay.
That's my thinking. Is
quick, everybody look at all the other pictures before he clicks them away.
So you can see this one has a little more. This was another one from the same clutch, but you can see how the head stamp disappeared. And you can see how this one still has a lot of color at the top, right? So like the color is still there, like a normal IJ, just kind of dark. But if you look down at the bottom, it's slowly disappearing.
That is impossible. Lisa has a black white lip that's meaner than the one that she sent me. She sent me this baby girl last year. That is a shade from hell. Like, I mean, oh my God. And she is not calmed down, and I feed her all the time. She's just so angry. For me, that's me saying this, but
right.
Anyway,
so this is what a poison ivy baby would look like when it hatches out.
Yeah. Yes.
See what I mean?
Yes.
It's a normal IJ.
I remember you hatched them and you're like, oh shit.
I'm like, this is a big waste of time.
Yeah, like, oh God, no. And then like a couple sheds later, it started getting darker, and you're like, yes, wait.
What have I done?
What have I done? Oh,
yeah.
And that was, could you imagine if you hadn't? I know you held back that entire clutch. Could you imagine if
held
you
back all 3 of those clutches?
I know you did, but what can you imagine if you didn't?
Yeah, I would be kicking myself, and people would be having, who knows what would happen.
Somebody breathed to a jag. But
here you go. Here's another. Like, look how red they are when they hatch out. Like a normal IJ.
Yeah, the normal IJ babies.
I mean, that thing is smoking hot as red.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. So yeah, that's the 4th project. But again, like I know I'm going to hold on to all those things. So I'm not worried about the market or selling them or, you know.
What does this mean? Nothing.
Nothing.
It means nothing to you people.
Nothing to look at here. Carry on.
Carry on. Back to what you were doing.
For those who don't know who Poison Ivy is, she's just in the same file. So I'll show. There she is.
Yeah, she is.
You can see she still has the white on her face. But like Lisa, the one thing that I really dig is those black markings on the labial pits, kind of like Ball and I have. And I love that she sort of retained that white on her face.
I never realized how little of a head stamp she had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Like
bled
hardly
to her
anything.
too. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that snake.
Listen, man, everybody's got one snake in their collection that they'd give anything to take, but to have back. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I always know which one your answer is.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You're like,
Um,
I would pull a Keith and cut my arm off.
yes.
There
maybe that's who I'll get tattooed on my
you go.
on my arm.
Match me
It'll
and
be
have
my
your shoulders
legacy.
covered. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that she was in the more complete Carpet Python book. Yeah,
That is cool.
I kind of like that whole way that happened.
That would be cool if you were able to get some babies from this year and see how they progress and see if they're even darker faster.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll change. I don't know. One of the other things that is, I know we're jumping all over the place
Everywhere.
here, but you can go back. I mean, we've been doing this breeding season episode for 11 years. Me and Owen have been talking about it. Like we do the same thing, but people always ask us about it. And, but one of the things that I always get mistaken is when the female is actually laid eggs and there's like a certain look to it.
The
and
beehive.
That's it.
Yep.
Right. The beehive look,
which it is so insanely important to make sure that you have a good nest box in for your animal. So
right.
If you're breeding them in tubs, just make the tub the breeding bin. Like you used to just fill them with moss and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole tub.
100%.
And it's like, figure it out. For me, they have those bins 24/7 in their cages throughout the year. And I try not to disturb them if they're in those bins because I want them to feel safe in those bins. And that's where I want them to put the eggs. And the biggest thing is that if your female feels like she's going to put the eggs one place, that's your light tent. So
that's how I take those black photos.
Yeah.
With that M Pen gorgeous girl.
Can that be number 5?
See how it gets out of control.
See, I know exactly. So, but you when your girl decides that she's going to put those eggs someplace, like the white lid kept going underneath the bin and burrowing out a little section, and I'm like, no, please don't put them there. And I kept filling in her hole and putting her in the bin, and she would go and do something else, and it's like, and she would go put them back she would go underneath the ground. So I knew those eggs were going to get laid underneath that bin. Like I knew it was going to happen because she had decided this is where they were going to go. So you can fight that for a little bit, but then you also don't want to fight it too much because you don't want her to scatter the eggs. You don't want her to do something stupid with the eggs. Also, this was her first time being a mom. So maybe this year she will put them better. So I will say right when you're getting ready for cool down is when I fill those bins with a ton of moss, a ton of mulch, all this other fun stuff. This way they're all in there and they can make nice little divots because I don't want to go too crazy on that when they're getting ready for eggs. Like I don't want to disturb the nest box when eggs are going to get laid soon.
Yeah.
Inland.
This is the inland male that's going this year.
Yes.
I'm going to try to like focus on that red. I love that animal too. That animal is beautiful. So that's the picture I was looking for as I was going through all those other pictures.
Yeah.
I get distracted easily. Yeah, you're right. I used to do that where I would just flood the whole entire place, the whole tub with just sphagnum moss. I used the I think it's New Zealand sphagnum moss that you could get on Amazon. You buy it in bricks.
Big bag, yeah.
Used to use that. The only thing that I would say about maternal incubation, that if you're gonna do maternal incubation, the one mistake that I did the 1 year is that I didn't pay attention to where they were in the room, and I sort of got a little cocky with mom is going to be able to do it, and the humidity was off and the eggs desiccated, I guess is what
dried up. Yeah.
So
I would say with MI, you need to take care of the cage and you take care of mom, and mom will take care of the eggs. And then it also comes down to whether you were going to feed her or not. I fed, which is great because my mom took a giant shit right on top of the eggs, which was just fantastic. And then also I did have an egg go bad. So I was able to get that it was a really crappy slug egg that was molding up. It was the top one. I was able to get that off the clutch when I caught her off the eggs. Was able to remove that, clean off the crap she put on them, and then put the eggs back. And she wrapped them around, took care of them all the way till hatching. As far as humidity goes, I didn't have to worry about that too much with my girl. She had a big water bowl near her, and those cages were pretty, I don't want to say humid, but they didn't seem to be bothered or anything like that. But it is something you have to watch. You know, just because mom has them doesn't mean everything's perfect. So
what I did with that is that I would say, so for me, right? I'm starting to think that humidity in carpet pythons is one of those weird topics that I think it's one of those ones that we said, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, I don't think that they necessarily have to have it. But I wonder if it doesn't make them healthier. And what I mean by that is like, and this, I'm getting to what I did with maternal incubation, is that when I would make sure the humidity in my room was good and I didn't worry so much about the cage.
Right.
So rather than, spraying the cage down and stuff like that, I never really do it. I make sure that she had a big water bowl, because here's one of the observations that I witnessed is that the female would sometimes leave the eggs and she would go into the water bowl, but she didn't go to drink. She would just kind of like go in and out. She just kind of like went in,
cruise through the water,
came out, and she was wet, and then she went and wrapped the eggs. Right. So the idea that eggs can't get wet, I don't know. She wet them. And she would wrap them again. I also saw where I saw this with IJs, and I think maybe they need a little more humidity is my thinking, but
yeah,
I could be wrong. Anyway, she would tuck the head down into the coil, almost like she was breathing, onto the eggs and tightening it up to sort of create humidity within her coils. I've seen that. I've seen it where she's actually, the female actually scooped up the eggs and kind of moved them.
Yeah.
She like beehive below them and then moved them, because, and I think the first year I did it, I kept moving. So at the first year I did it, I had a big cage and I had a heat lamp above it. And I kept putting the egg box right under the heat lamp. And
eggs
she kept
equal
moving
eggs
it.
need to be warm. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, well, they have to be warm. And she kept moving it, and I would move it back, and she would move it the other way, and I would move it back. And then I said, what is this snake doing? Why does it keep doing it? And then I thought about, because at the time I wasn't thinking like the snake, the snake is doing what the snake knows to do. Like, so she's like, no, you stupid monkey. The box goes here.
Stop trying to kill the goddamn babies.
So she kept moving the box, and then finally I stopped doing anything just to see what happened, and then she went into the box, and then she was
lay
fine.
the egg.
But she kept moving that box, and it was like, so where like a little corner of the box was underneath the heat lamp, but like enough of it more was in the cold side. And my feeling is that she could control it better when it's lower, rather than her trying to make it cooler. She could easily make it warmer by, so carpets
twitching and stuff like that.
Do this twitch thing where they can sort of like raise the temperature of the egg. If you look in the more complete carpet python, the guys in there have like some awesome graphs and stuff where they show like one of the cool graphs I saw. And again, it's just anecdotal. Anecdotal evidence. That damn Philly accent. Anyway, you can see where there's a little bit of a difference between the babies that were maternally incubated as far as weight goes. Whether that means anything, I don't know. But I worked it as well. I know a couple other people like Balin. He said the same thing. I think Mike Curtin said the same thing because he did a lot of maternal incubation as well. But
I saw no difference, but I've only done
oh,
one
and yeah,
maternal incubated
yeah.
clutch. Yeah.
Of course, you
So
wouldn't see a difference. Of
no,
course,
of
your
course not.
face
Yeah,
would
of
be like,
course
"No,
of
we're
course you
not
would be this
cooperating.
way. Why must you be this way?
You
But
must
it's
be against Eric." Ugh.
I will say that my girl was off her eggs like clockwork. I would catch her off the eggs in the morning. She'd be on top of her bin, basking under the heat, the radiant heat panel, and then I'd see her back off the eggs towards nighttime when stuff had started dropping. It's like, so she was coming out right when it was starting to get really warm, and she was
Yeah,
warming herself up to go back on those eggs, and then she'd try to get one more good soak of warmth before nighttime, and then she'd
yeah,
be on the eggs all night.
yeah. I've seen. So when I had diamond crosses that I bred,
Mhm.
the one thing I noticed about them that it's different than the other carpets that I've bred, maternal incubation, is that that female would actually come out and bask.
Mhm.
And she would leave those at, like, I didn't see that with IJs and stuff. I would see them do more of like the water thing. It seemed like they were more focused on the humidity, more so than the temperature part
Right.
of it. Because my room was always like 80 degrees, so it was
Mhm.
kind of like already in that spot, give or take. And even in the more complete carpet, you can see the graphs of like some of the maternal incubations where you see the fluctuation in the temperature.
Mhm.
I think we have this idea. It's like 87.2
That
degrees, and that's
cookie
how it
for
is
set
running
it
through.
and forget it. Like no,
Yeah.
it's well, it's to be
um,
honest, I almost want to go lower and slower with uh olives
yeah.
because this is the first year I had where all those olive babies came out healthy. I didn't have any DOAs, and they all absorbed all of their yolks. Now, this was a completely different female than I had from the other 2 seasons.
Okay.
So, that could be part of it. The other
Mhm.
part is that maybe I know they take longer than other pythons, but maybe they should have a little bit of a lower temp too.
Maybe. Yeah.
Problem is that I have not had none of my olive pythons are very good mothers. They don't coil their eggs. So I can't be like, all right, you do it this year. They're just like, "Bruh." I'm like, oh.
Well,
So
it's kind of like water pythons, right? They
mm,
sort of, I know Shine had a paper where he was saying about how the moms would leave the eggs,
mhm.
uh,
When they get close.
when they were getting close,
Yeah.
because the thinking was is that I guess that the temperature where they're from is more stable, so it's not as much of a swing, and I guess they got to get out feeding, or
Mhm.
I don't know, but it's pretty
Yeah.
interesting. That's another thing about, just on a side note, breeding diamond pythons. I have in my notes that there was a paper, that it was observed that unlike other carpets, males will tolerate each other. With diamond pythons, they have even shown to share areas where, with males as well as females when they're courting. So it's like one male for no one female, 1 to 5 males for each female.
Cool.
So almost like, well, not really like garter snakes, because there's what, thousands of them all over.
All over
Um,
one male, like over one female. Yeah.
oh wait, Owen, you got a question real quick
I
here from
do.
Greg.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
So, did I breed my Chinese king rats like a American colubrids? My Chinese king rat's a little weird. So they are in the python room, but they are in cages that have no heat. So they are at the mercy of whatever the python room temperature is. During the summer, that's obviously high 80s and low 70s at night because they don't have the radiant heat panels that help keep the python cages in that same kind of temperature. When it comes to breeding season, I'll actually open up the python room to the outdoor rooms and things like that. So we'll get a little bit cooler because I do need it to get down into the 70s, and lower. Actually, it's easier to get the room down lower, and then let the heat panels keep everybody at 70 than it is to anything else. So they will go lower than say the normal pythons, but they will not go as low as say the colubrids who are out on the other room, uh, completely away from other heat sources. So I would say that they would kind of go to where my colubrids outside the room would go down into, say, like the 50s, almost 60 50s. These guys would kind of stay closer to, we'll say, high 60s at nighttime. And then it depends on whatever the room gets to in during the day. So the hot spots in the cages for the pythons will still get it up into 84. I don't think that would get the whole room into the 80s, but I would say high 70s.
Okay.
But as far as feeding, same approach to the mad hogs and some of the other larger colubrid species. It's just I turn off the food right now, and then before I do introductions, I will feed some larger meals or larger size meals, just so nobody hurts each other, and then they'll do introductions. So yeah, I'm looking forward to pairing them up again this year too, because I got the one clutch, and I got two clutches. I got one clutch and then I got a double clutch, and I had a lot of eggs that were slugs, but then I got that one hypo. So I'm hoping I can do it again and get some more hypos. And it's weird because when they come out, they're like this creamy kind of color, they're like creamy orange. And then
Really?
and then the hypo was like off white. And I'm like, well, one of these things is not like the others. Like it was, I know one of these is not correct. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. So you are are they considered difficult to breed? That species? You don't know? Who knows?
I don't know. I just kind of did it. It was one of those, I wasn't sure. And I spoke with, I think it was actually Stephen Katz. Because he and I were talking.
Them too?
What?
He bred them too?
I don't know if he has them. I think he has an uncle that has them.
Oh, okay.
And he and I were just kind of talking about him. And I went on to the page that he suggested for me about Chinese king rats, and I'm taking a look, and I'm like, well, like shit, I guess they are big enough. And then I think I mentioned it to Rob, and he's like, hell yeah, go for it. And I'm like, yes. So it was. He's like, they're big enough, try it. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And then I did it, and I was not expecting eggs. I didn't see any locks. I didn't see any interest. I didn't see any death or destruction. So I was shocked as anything when I found the eggs. I was not expecting it.
Nice.
So, but this year, I'm trying the false water cobra this year.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
now, how are they bred? More like a tropical species, or who knows? You better listen to Colubrid
I know.
Radio.
I need to go and work on this shit. I know I have an idea of what I would do with them, but I really need to sit down and just follow through with somebody else's stuff. So, this weekend was my plan to sit down and go through a lot of the fringe species that I don't have plans for yet, and write up the plans, because we're getting to the point where, I got to start turning stuff off. And what's funny is that I got the blonde Madagascar hognose to breed last year by not treating them like colubrids. I had to bring them into the python room and shove them into the male python rack, where they would have the fluctuation of, because I have animals in that rack that maybe aren't of size, males that are still growing. So they still have the normal python fluctuation, 70, 80, stuff like that. And that's what got the blonde hognose to breed.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to attack the same way with the speckled hognose.
Okay.
If I can get all three mad hogs in 1 year, I'll retire from Madagascar hognose.
Will you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair
That'll
enough.
be the end of it. I'll plant my flag and move on.
Right on. Well, we're almost at 2 hours. I guess I would say this, right? So we have a show. We have a guest Thursday, which would be next Tuesday, lined up. Then we have
oh, sweet God.
The 8th would be, well, the 13th would be another episode, and then are we going to do the 13th? I guess no, we won't. That'll be the holiday show.
Yeah.
So we'll do the holiday show live on the 13th, right?
Yes.
Tuesday?
Wait.
Okay.
Do we want to do it on the 13th? Do we want to make it a Friday so we don't have to go into hungover to the next day?
Oh, sure. You don't have to go in hungover.
Listen.
Well, you are a little bit of an amateur when it comes.
Don't be like this.
So yeah, I guess
we can do it. We can do it like a Saturday or something.
Yeah, I work on the weekend.
The whole weekend?
Yeah, the whole weekend.
Jesus. All right. Yeah, we can do the 13th.
Okay.
I just won't drink that much. So
don't you work at home? Like, come on, man. You're becoming an old man.
No. I'm feeling personally attacked here.
So we'll do the holiday show on the 13th, or airing of grievances.
Yep, that's going to be one of them, apparently.
I got a nice whiskey ready to go. The Ipers know how great I am. Yes, how nice I get when I'm drinking the whiskey.
Yeah.
Which is what kind of whiskey again?
Which one? Oh,
the one in the flask.
The one in the flask?
Not the Dugout whiskey.
No. It's the
what is it?
Salted caramel. It's the Tennessee
salted
whiskey.
Caramel. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's the elixir.
It's quite delicious.
that's my father-in-law's brew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll do that. We'll pick our favorite, we'll go down our list of favorites of
favorite shows, favorite topics.
Talk about what we're going to do in 2023.
Yeah, where we are, what's happening,
what's staying, what's going, all those type of things. But yeah, it should be fun. And I guess Owen has promised that Carpet Fest will be revealed.
Shit.
Shit. Dear, oh dear.
We have that much time. All right, I guess we better figure out what we're doing as far as a meeting.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out quick.
Yeah, very quickly.
I was gonna say, so if how about this? We'll do this.
Yeah.
If any of the patrons have any other questions about breeding, send it to me or Owen, and we'll do an episode specifically on those questions.
Yep. We'll do a breeding question show.
Yeah. So put your questions together, and whether it's about pairing, maternal incubation, incubating eggs, feeding babies,
selling babies,
setting up babies,
shooting babies, and it's fine. Everything's fine.
Getting tricky babies to eat, any of those things, whatever you got. And then I guess we'll do it all over again for year 12?
Oh God. How many more years on my sentence? What did I do?
They love you too much, Owen. We can't until you stop breeding like you do. You're locked in, bro.
I don't mean to. I don't know what I did either. That's the biggest thing when you have a good year. The following year, you're like, oh shit, I have to repeat what I did on a couple of these things. So.
Yeah, I don't know as far as the rest of the pods on the network as far as what they're taking off. But I think pretty much that last week of December, everything's going to be shut down.
Yeah. Go do something else. Go find something else to do. Okay.
We'll
be right back. Okay.
Here's another questions I have for the patrons. Maybe some of the old archived episodes. Do you want me to put them up over there so you can listen to the ones that you can't listen to anymore? You think that they would like that?
Let's see. No, we'd have to remaster them first. They're all crap.
I was saying to Owen today, my video skills are on the blog talk level at the moment, but slowly progressing up. We'll get there, yeah.
God.
So I think that's all I got. Don't forget, we have the coffee.
It's good.
You drank it?
Yeah, I made a batch of cold brew with it, and it was good. The flavor remains even if it's cold. Like, yeah, it was nice. Good. Yeah.
So we have the NPR blend, Carpets and Coffee, from Cold Blooded Caffeine, coldbloodedcaffeine.com. Don't forget that they donate $1 of every bag sold to wildlife conservation. in the coffee producing countries that they buy from. So which is cool. We have an affiliate link, so you can click on that link, and if you use the MPR code at checkout, get 10% off your order. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll put the link in the show notes, so you can check that out there. And yeah, and then follow us on all the socials. And
I'm bringing a bag. I'm gonna bring a bag with me to Hamburg, and I'll point people to the website and see how many we can get some bags sold. So
some back. Yeah, I got to. So I got the flu over the weekend, so
mhm.
kind of put me out of commission for like 4 days. But I'm gonna get. I'm waiting to get the info for the calendar back, and I'll
Yep.
get those going and
Yep.
whatnot. So
Cool.
stay tuned for that. And I think that's all I got. Go ahead, Owen. I know you got a show.
I got it. Hamburg this Saturday, December 3rd. If you're listening to this after the 3rd, sorry. If it's
No, this is
before,
gonna go in podcast tonight. So.
sweet. All right. Yeah. So stop by. I'll be there setting up with next to me will be Jason Balin. And I think Eric Kolik's going to be there. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely jump in that. And then what I'll have there is going to be carpet pythons. I'm bringing some white lips, some olives, some Madagascar hognose, and some Chinese king rats. So definitely check that out. And then for us, you can go to the Teespring store, get all your gear. There's Rogue Reptile stuff, EB Morelia stuff, Carpet Fest stuff, as well as the Carpets and Coffee NPR. So definitely check on that. And yeah.
Lisa said our link is broken for the store.
No.
We have to up the game. I see. This is why I can't breed snakes. I got too many things to pay attention to. Damn it! Where's the interns?
I hope Lisa has just earned Lucas a beating. So
I might make Lisa an intern. What the heck?
Lisa could probably do a better job.
Yeah, she would be on the ball.
Damn intern. First off, he's not here when we need him. Second off, things are broken on the ship that we didn't know were broken. So
I still love the little guy though. Anyway, we're gonna be doing Carpets and Coffee this Friday.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we'll catch everybody then. In the meantime, thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch everybody next week for some more Morelia Python Radio. Good night.